So Ashen is kind of like Dark Souls meets Journey, but I don't really think it manages to live up to either of the games it's so clearly inspired by. It's still a decent game, but aside from the art style, there just isn't enough here for me to call it anything more than that. Ashen is an action RPG from Aurora 44. It follows a similar story to that of Destiny 2, where the light is fading from the land and you and your companion must journey through all the darkest regions to defeat the evil and return the light. Except in Destiny 2, that was like the first mission, and this is kind of like the whole game. It's not bad, but it's kind of just so minimal that I wouldn't really say it's good either. I mean, it kind of works for the style that the game is going for, but I really wish it was a bit shorter and more focused so it could drive home some of the key moments. I mean, most of the story is told through interacting with the characters in your home base, but that means that there are lots of long stretches of gameplay without anything going on in the story department. So as my friend and I were reaching the conclusion of the game, we both kind of completely forgot what exactly the NPCs had told us when we first started. It's just not really engaging when all the story is told through expositional monologues from the forgettable cast of characters. Still, story isn't really the main focus here, so I can't fault it too much for that. Now, Ashen is a co-op game where your AI companion is actually some random person online. Except the devs realize that forcing you to play a game like this with a random person probably won't work as well, so they also gave you the ability to just add your friends so you guys can play together. And that's the whole journey aspect of this game. It's cool, but it's nothing too special. The combat, on the other hand, is basically a simplified Dark Souls combat system. It's got the classic health, stamina, light attack, heavy attack, drink a potion to heal system that anyone who's played or seen Dark Souls should be familiar with. And they also have their own version of Souls called Scoria, or something weird like that. So it's definitely very heavily inspired by Dark Souls, but it's still pretty fluid and fun. The only issue here is that there is no depth. Most of the weapons feel the exact same, and there is nothing in the way of different like ability or weapon stats. I mean, some of the weapons have like slightly different attack patterns or speeds, but they don't actually give you any stats to tell the difference. You kind of just have to pick it up and use it and see if you like it. The enemy design is also a bit lacking, as most enemies just feel like different reskins of the same enemy. I mean, most of them are literally just the same basic humanoids with like slightly different clothing. I wish there were just more enemies like the crabs and spiders, because frankly, they were the most fun to fight, and I think they were the only real non-humanoid enemies. I mean, there were the wolves too, but those were just kind of annoying. One thing I did notice is that a lot of the big publications who reviewed the game seemed to be in agreement that despite this game being a lot more simplified than Dark Souls, it's still very challenging. And when I read that, it was at that exact moment when I knew, yeah, this game was not going to be very hard. And to my surprise, not only was the game not hard, but it's pretty damn easy. I mean, maybe if you played the game with your forehead on the keyboard or controller, I could see where it could be challenging. But I think 95% of the time, either me or my friend died, it's because we fell off something.
Like that.
Oh, I'm dead.
Okay, I'm just gonna leave.
I'd recommend not jumping off there.
Well, you just fell off to the bottom, didn't you?
Neither of us died during any of the boss fights, even when we fought them solo. And I think the only deaths came from the real artificial difficulty spikes. And by that, I'm talking about the moments when you're fighting the same basic humanoid enemy, but since it's later in the game, now they can just kill you in 2 hits. I mean, they're still using like the same basic weapons and they look the same as the first enemies you fight, but now they just do more damage because balance and reasons, which is it just feels so artificial. Also, pro tip for those who need some help, just use the prophetic basher. It's a weapon that my friend and I picked up early on in the game, and we literally did not need to use anything else. If you just upgrade it and right bumper every enemy till they die, you'll win, guaranteed. Because that is literally what both of us did the entire game. I was honestly surprised how simple it was. I mean, I tried to switch to different weapons, but none of them felt different enough or good enough to warrant me switching away from the prophetic basher. It was just so simple and easy to use, and it killed everyone.
I love them just swinging this goddamn thing. Swing.
There are a few other things like runes and talismans that can give you some different passive abilities, but there aren't very many options, and some of them are just clearly better than others. And there are also only like a handful of different armor pieces throughout the entire game. and none of them give you any sort of different ability or stat, just plain damage resistance and stamina reduction. So, in the end, Ashen's combat feels like a bit of a lackluster attempt at a Souls game. It's definitely got smooth mechanics, that's for sure, and it's still generally fun overall, but it's just way too oversimplified. Now, Ashen has a absolutely gorgeous low poly design, and there is a great sense of scale throughout the world. It does a great job of making you feel small and insignificant in the face of the giant world around you. I mean, it is an absolutely beautiful game, and every section looked more amazing than the last. The only issue here is that there really isn't much to explore, because every secret you can find just gives you crafting materials or money. And by the end, I had more than enough materials and money to go around, so I just stopped looking for secrets entirely. I mean, there are so many perfectly hidden little spots around the map that require a precise jump to get to, but every time you make the jump, you are rewarded with the same basic crafting materials, or money if you're lucky, over and over and over, and you can literally find that anywhere else in the world. It was so disappointing, considering that most of our deaths were caused by us trying to find secrets. Not a single unique weapon, armor piece, I don't know, ability, nothing. There's just nothing there, which is a damn shame because the world looks incredible and I would love to explore more, but it just isn't worth it to explore.
Ready? Sapien root incoming. Sapien root. Just
Or
wait.
moss.
I called it. Yeah, I told you. See? That's all we pick up.
Sapient roots and moss.
The music, on the other hand, is pretty solid. It's soft and low-key, but it does a good job keeping the sense of mystery throughout the game. It's nothing too special, but I think it does its job well. In the end, Ashen is still an enjoyable experience, but there really isn't anything going on under the surface to make it stand out. It's a decent game that's worth giving a shot if you're interested in and have the money to spend, but don't expect too much from it. The game suffers severely from its oversimplification, and it just needed to have more enemies or items or something to switch it up a bit. The environments are fantastic, but unfortunately nothing else really is. Thanks for watching. If you agreed or disagreed with anything I said, let me know in the comments down below and I'd be happy to discuss. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you in the next review.